for people who are watching this, just tell us your name, who you are, just where you're from.
Well, my name is James Vasquez. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, but I currently reside in Norwalk, Connecticut.
So we're sitting in a really quiet backyard right now, very different from where you were just a couple weeks ago.
Certainly.
What's it like being back?
It's odd. I'm not getting shot at or shelled at all day. I want to be back over there with my guys. I feel like I abandoned them. I feel like, I had to come home eventually, but I'm definitely going to go back. I don't like being back. I want to be with my guys. Not that I'm not like some people say, addicted to war or warmonger. I just want to be there for my guys. My guys are having a hard time over there. That's it.
You didn't know these guys before you went.
No.
This is a bond that you formed when you went to Ukraine.
Yeah.
What's that bond like?
Brothers, we're brothers. We just brothers in arms. You eat, drink, sleep, and fight with these guys all day. You learn to love them, even though there's a language barrier. We're all like family. So it's a big family.
So you walk me through February 24th, when Ukraine was officially invaded by Russia. What went through your mind that day? You sat wherever you were sitting and you heard the news.
Well, I mean, the writing was on the wall. Everybody knew it was going to happen. It was just a matter of time when it was going to happen. And once it did happen, well, here's the thing. My grandmother is from Latvia, and she used to tell me stories about when she literally ran through World War II, and her whole family, stayed back. The BBC said, hey, everything's okay, so everybody thought it was okay, but she was smart enough to flee, and her whole family got slaughtered by Russians, every single one of them. She was the only surviving member of our family. And so these things that she told me about, started, it was no longer theater of the mind. It was, it came to fruition. I saw it on TV, and I just said, I got to go. I got to go do that. I got to go do this. If anything from my grandmother. Grandmother passed in '03, but, if there's a heaven, I know she's looking down, and she's very proud of me.
What would she say, knowing that you went to go defend this land?
Oh, my grandmother, she would, she would have probably gave me a couple steak knives and say, go get them. She was a tough lady, tough lady. She died when she was 96, and she was still tough as nails, when she died. So.
And when did she come to the United States? How old was she?
I am not exactly sure. I think my mother was 15 when they came to the States because she fled to France. So if my mother was 15, that means that it was probably, I don't know, 55 years ago or so.
Wow. Yeah. So you have true roots that connect you, at least to the Soviet Union time, and people being persecuted by Soviet Union. When you heard about what was truly happening, you were there when Bucha happened, when all of those massacres happened. But when you first heard what was happening, when you were sitting in Connecticut, what was it like for you, knowing your experience with your grandmother?
Well, the only thing that stopped me from leaving on the next day was my passport. I didn't have an active passport, so I had to get an emergency passport, and that's why I ended up leaving on March 14th and not sooner. I went there. I didn't know, what I was going to do, where I was going to go. I just knew I was going to get to the front line somehow, some way,
What was that like? Walk me through. So you left on March 14th.
Yeah.
Where'd you go? How did you know how to go?
There's a large Ukrainian community over here in Connecticut. So when I decided to go, people heard about it, and a couple of Ukrainians that are here, contacted me, and they said, hey, look, if you're going to go, can you take all these medical supplies? So, they were gathering a bunch of medical supplies, boxes and boxes and boxes. So I said, sure, no problem. It would have cost $15,000 to ship overseas, and it would cost only a couple grand for me to take it with me on a plane. So with that, they also gave me contacts when I got there. So I had a guy picked me up. His name was Yuri. Picked me up from the airport. Yuri picked me up. Yuri's going to bring me over to the Foreign Legion. I was going to join the Foreign Legion. Foreign Legion got blown up 2 days before. I didn't know that because I was traveling for 2 days. So, so they lost like 30 guys, you know, got killed. And, you know, when I got there, it was in such disarray that they didn't even know what to do with me. So, so now I'm just kind of stuck there. And I hooked up with a UK soldier, British soldier. And he's a British soldier, but Ukrainian born. Mm-hmm. So he came back. He left the UK and came over to Ukraine. And so him and I hooked up. It was just kismet. I mean, it's just coincidence. But he knew the lay of the land, and he also was like my translator. And you know, and he knew guys like since kindergarten that are on the front lines fighting. So we were able to just go over the front lines, hook up with a Ukrainian unit. So I didn't join the Foreign Legion. I wasn't signatory to anyone. I was able to just go to the front lines, and they were happy to have us.
Wow. So where in Poland did you land? Take me back. Was it Warsaw?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you made it over the border. Was that difficult to do?
It was a little sketchy at first. It was easy to get to the Polish border. I mean, the Ukrainian border. See, the Polish border, you got to hit the Polish border first, and then, you know, 10 minutes later, you're in the Ukrainian border. So the Polish border, you know, they were pretty skeptical. They're like, hey, why is there an American with a passport? So, you know, we went under the guise that I'm not there to fight. I'm there to do a humanitarian effort. And I had the medical supplies to kind of like prove it and make it look good. And I had all my military gear buried under the medical supplies. So they never even like really looked at it. They looked at a couple boxes, and that was that. And then once we got to the Ukrainian border, we were like, you know, hey, look, this guy's going to go fight. And they were like, hey, you know, have at it. You know, we need you. So
you got with this British guy,
mm-hmm.
right? Ukrainian-born
mm-hmm.
British guy.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you go? Where was the first location you guys were?
First place we went to was Kyiv. I was fighting in Kyiv. And I was fighting in Kyiv for a few weeks. And then the Russians started, that's when the Russians started like pushing out of Kyiv. And but they had a bunch of stragglers left in Kyiv. So we were just basically clearing villages and, you know, getting, I mean, you'll see on my Twitter, you know, the old ladies and stuff. So, you know, we were just clearing villages, making sure that, you know, everybody was out of there. A lot of Russians were still occupying. A lot of Russians put on civilian clothes. And whether they were abandoning their units or they just got left there, I don't know. But so we get a lot of intel from villagers, and you know, once they tell us where they are, you know, we make sure we, you know, sort that out.
So I think that was the time when the whole world saw what happened in Bucha. Were you able to get to that area?
Next place I went to was, well, after Kyiv, I went back. Our vehicles get shot up pretty quick. So, you know, we had a lot of shrapnel and bullet holes in our vehicles, and they were just like kind of on their way out. So I went back to Lviv. That's when I started raising money. I went back to Lviv, raised money, bought vehicles, bought, you know, ACOG scopes, red dot sights, everything to fit out these guys' weapons, magazines. We didn't even have, you know, a good amount of magazines, and ammunition, all that stuff. Couple vehicles, and then Victor and I, the Brit, you know, drove back, brought 2 trucks and like, you know, a candy store full of goodies, and for everybody. And then we went to Donetsk, and Donetsk was like seriously heavy fighting. It was bad.
How would you compare what you saw in Donetsk to anything else in your previous experiences?
I've never seen anything like it. It's you know, it's constant shelling. I mean, again, you can just look at my videos on Twitter. I mean, it was constant shelling. There was one time that a Russian missile was like directly above us, and somebody took it out with a stinger. I don't even know what unit did that, but the shrapnel was raining on us for like 30 seconds straight. Big pieces of shrapnel. I was like, hot, boiling hot shrapnel. If it would have hit one of us, it would have cut us in half.
So you went from Lviv to Donetsk. It's not that close of a drive.
No, it's about 6 hours away.
Right. And so what was that first encounter you had where you realized this is something that's really serious?
When I first got there, as soon as I got there, so, all right, let me back up for a second. When I was in Kyiv, I was initially part of a Javelin team taking out tanks, right? But those guys got moved to Donetsk, because they were needed there. And Victor and I, we started, hitting. There was with the other part of the unit, there were ground pounders, infantry types, and so we stayed back with them, and we were clearing villages. And so when I got to Donetsk, literally the first 5 minutes I was there, there was an explosion that seemed like it was like right outside the door. The whole building shook, and nobody even flinched. So I was like, all right. So if nobody's like flinching at this point, that means that this is happening often. So and sure enough, it was. It's just constant shelling, all day, every day, all night, all day and all night.
What was it like when you encountered, like you mentioned, these grandmothers, right, in your Twitter videos, and just civilians who were in eastern Ukraine? What
First
was
of
it
all,
like?
it's shocking seeing elderly women out in the field, but also not surprising. Now that I know these people, like most of the elderly people, they will not leave, and they're as tough as coffin nails. And the old women, those women they'll stab a Russian, as quicker than I'll shoot one. I mean, they are bananas, man. And but they've been there for so long, and they're off the grid, so they don't really know. They see an American and a British soldier, they think America and Britain are sending soldiers. So to them, it's like, it's a reprieve. They're like, oh man, this is great. We have it. But they don't realize it's just me and Victor, two dummies that went over there to fight.
Now, would you and Victor leave the main group that you guys had and kind of go off on your own when you were in Donetsk?
No, we've always been associated with these two units.
Okay.
So once the fighting slowed down in Kyiv, we left the unit that we stayed with because we were like, look, we're not going to stay here and do nothing all day. We had commandeered this, auto body shop and this, slash mechanic shop. And that's why, if you see one of my Twitter videos, I'm painting, cars, green. So I went in the basement and found a bunch of paint. And I was like, well, let's camouflage these vehicles. But after that slowed down, I decided, I told Victor, I was like, look, man, let's find another unit. I had options. There was another American unit that I could have gone to. That's the Dirty Dozen. Couple different options, but coincidentally, he got a call from a guy named Sergey, which is the Javelin team that we were initially with. And so they were like, look, man, we need some help and we need vehicles. So we went and got more vehicles, and then we went over to Donetsk to fight with them. And that's where I went, and suddenly, as soon as I got there, was shelled. These guys, I only left them they only left like 2 weeks before. And you can see in their eyes that they were different. They had that 1,000-yard stare. So I knew right away that, they've been through some shit, and I'm about to get into it too. Excuse my language.
Okay. So how do you guys communicate? What means do you have? Are you using like WhatsApp? What's it like?
Well, we use WhatsApp, Signal, and Motorola radios. I went and got a bunch of Motorola radios for us, but they're not encrypted, so they're easily tapped into by the Russians. So we got to be very careful in even how we use that. We can't just go around speaking, willy-nilly. We have to, only when we really need to, which is why when you guys came earlier and I was talking to these guys and I told them I'm sending a box of 35 radios and they're all encrypted, that's what we need right now. Communication in vehicles is a huge thing right now.
Right. So the United States predicted Kyiv would fall in hours, right?
Yeah.
I mean, by the time you got there, it was...
Our super smart generals and, yeah.
So when they predicted that, and then when
I knew they wouldn't. I work with Ukrainians. I had a bunch of guys. I build high-rise buildings for a living. I had my foundation team was a bunch of Ukrainians. These guys are tough as nails. I knew they were not going to, just go down. I don't know where anyone got that they were going to, fall in 2 to 3 days. I knew that wasn't happening. If I believed them, I would have never went and got an emergency passport. I knew that was going to take 2 weeks, right? So, I mean, they've obviously proved everybody wrong and still are. They're having a tough time right now. I'm not going to lie. I'm in contact with these guys all the time. Next 2 months are going to be probably the worst of the worst that we've been going through. But I'm super confident that ultimately, we're gonna win.
Right. So when you knew that these Ukrainians had that grit, they had that power in them, that they can overcome whatever intelligence is going to say, what was it like when it translated when you got to Kyiv? That was one of the first areas you were in. What did you see, and what was the morale like?
Well, the morale, okay, what they lack in skills, or lacked back then, because now these guys are becoming battle-hardened guys, and now they're starting to know this stuff. But back then, what they lacked in skills, they had in heart. You can just see, like, you know, they're not giving up their country for nobody. And so their heart is a lot bigger than their skill set. But now the skill set is starting to catch up with their heart. And if the Russians had that much of a hard time in the beginning, they're going to have a much harder time now, because now these guys are, you know, they're becoming seasoned veterans. So.
Yeah. And you mentioned before, these guys, a lot of them haven't really even fought before, and you have...
Oh, no. I mean, a lot of these guys before, you know, that's what made me nervous. These guys are walking around with AK-47s with a magazine, and I don't even know if their safety's on, and they never shot a weapon before. So I'm like, oh, you know, point that way, man.
What was it like for you to see that, though? You have experience, and is it almost like you're kind of the teacher? You're a bit of the leader in the group?
Well, Victor and I, the British soldier, yeah, we were kind of, they were happy to have us, and we kind of changed the whole dynamic as far as, you know, train. So we would do tactical training with them. We would, you know, I brought them to the, you know, I got them the scopes, red dot sights. I see whose strength is, you know what, if somebody can shoot from far, I give them an ACOG. If somebody can't shoot for shit, I give them a red dot sight. And then, you know, take them to the range. I zeroed in every one of those weapons, and, you know, taught them how to shoot, taught them how to fight, taught them, you know, tactical maneuvers, and, you know, they just get better and better every day. And, you know, at this point now, they're a real, you know, I mean, it's trial by fire for these guys. I mean, they never went to boot camp or, you know, AIT training or, you know, advanced training like we do. It's, they were washing dishes the day before. They, you know, they were, you know, a mason the day before. You know, they babysitter. I mean, you name it. They basically anything but fighting the day before. You know, so it's a. But they, you know, they dropped everything in their life. You know, and they put on a uniform, and a crude one it is. I mean, a lot of them were wearing sneakers when I got there. Sneakers and, like, you know, crummy camouflage uniforms. So I got them uniforms. I got them Kevlars. I got them body armor. I got them scopes, sights, everything, you know, so these guys can fight like gentlemen and not, you know, it was like the bad news bears of of combat, you know, so.
How did you get all that stuff? I saw people just saw you on Twitter and reached out.
When there's a will, there's a way. A lot of it was from Poland. A lot of it, listen, in Ukraine, I'm going to tell you what they tell me all the time. You're in Ukraine now. You can get anything that you want as long as you have the will to get it. And even if it comes, you know, to get like that. And, you know, and there's tons of people in Ukraine that are, like, you know, gathering. I mean, women will sew a uniform for you over there. I mean, it's like, you know, America can learn a big lesson from Ukraine. And when you're talking about all for one and one for all, no bipartisanship, you know, there's no Democrats or Republicans. It's a people of one. And we can learn a lot from that, you know.
Well, it's interesting because a lot of Ukraine wants what America wants, this democracy, in a way. Can you talk a little bit about that? And do they look up to the United States as a place of, that's where we want to be? Or if not, what is it?
I mean, every country, you know, looks up to the United States. Maybe they want to be the United States more than I want them to be the United States, because I don't think they know what's going on over here. And I don't think they realize that, you know, we're a country divided right now. No, not the United States I grew up in anyways.
Why?
Because they're like I said, they're a country of one for all and all for one. And, you know, the beauty is that anybody would do anything for anyone over there. Whereas over here, we're completely divided.
So you decided to take these insane battlefield moments, videotape them, and you put them on Twitter. It's like war in the digital age.
I think I'm the first soldier ever to actually live tweet battle in ever. I think. I don't know. I've been told that anyways. But yeah, I just wanted people to see what's going on and and what's happening, and this is crazy. This is a genocide. It's constant war crimes. It's it's bananas what's going on over there, and the world at large is just kind of like sitting on its laurels and letting this happen. So
So it was important for you to truly showcase what you were experiencing.
yeah, because it's not propaganda. If I put a video out there, this is something that's actually happening. It's me. I'm an American over there. It's not bull crap, and I'm just documenting what's happening as it happens.
Right. What was it like for you to post that and see the response that you got? I mean, you have
Well,
hundreds of thousands of followers.
I initially started Twitter just so my friends and family, because I didn't know if I was going to have any real communication over there. I didn't know, how if my phone was going to even work. So I figured I start a Twitter account because I don't have, I'm not a big social media guy, just to let my friends and family know, what's going on a day-to-day basis. I didn't think it was going to take this life of its own, where I was able to utilize this platform to, raise so much money, make sure that people are aware, and get all this, Rip Rawlings and I now, because of that, we started this. Well, he started the foundation, but I promoted it, and now it's getting big time, and we're partnering up with a bunch of other foundations. What's the other one? Shoot, I can't think about it right now. But all these things, all this money that we're raising. I've raised more than $500,000 myself, just by myself, between Rip Rawlings Foundation, and now I'm strictly raising money through his foundation, because I was doing it at PayPal before, but I know the tax man's going to be kicking my butt soon. So so he started a legitimate foundation. So now I just promote through his foundation, and we make sure that we get everybody what they need. We have several teams in over there that are American and British, and or anybody, whoever needs it. Malcolm Nance, MSNBC reporter, turned soldier. We get him what he needs. And you'll see that I post on Twitter that we all met in Lviv right before I left, and we had a meeting of the minds and said, look, what's the squeaky wheel that we have to oil? And so we sat down. We need communications. We need vehicles. We need this. We need that. And we sought out to get everything that we need for these guys.
What was a moment where you really felt you were close to death out there? Was there something? But was there one true moment that stuck out to you?
No, I mean, there wasn't a true moment. There was just about almost every day. I just knew death was around the corner. There wasn't one moment. I mean, the shelling is constant, So it's, you just think one of these shells, one of these mortars have my name on it. But you just kind of push through it. I mean, otherwise we'd all be sitting in the foxhole all day and not getting out, and just, scared to die. You can't do that. You gotta push forward.
When you look into the eyes of these young guys that you fight alongside with, these Ukrainians you said were washing dishes the day before, what's it like to see them come so far?
It's, unfortunately, there was one young kid, 22 years old, and when I was there, I could see he was scared. And he had a family, he had a brand new, little baby, and he was scared to be there. And I told him, just stick with me. I'll keep you alive. And that made him comfortable. And he did. He always stuck with me. And well, I left, and now he's dead. He died. He got killed after I left, and I feel horrible about that. And this is why I need to get back and be with my men. I made him a promise that I couldn't fulfill, and that's super painful to me.
You tweeted the other day that it was the first time you cried.
That was that was that was because of him. That was because of him. Broke my heart. Yeah, that broke my heart. Then I had 2 guys captured the day before yesterday too, and I can only imagine what they're going through. You know, the ungodly stuff that the Russians are doing to them, because I know what they would do to me if they got me. So.
What was this 22-year-old like?
He was just a good kid, you know. He was just happy that, you know, he had a newborn baby, and, you know, he was missing his wife and his child. He was just showing me pictures, and, you know, so proud, and confided that he was scared to me. And that's what I told him. I said, look, just stick with me, don't worry about it. And it was my biggest fear come true, you know. Not just him, but losing any of my men while I'm gone. And it just lost 3 men last week and 2 captured this week. So.
So you want to get back?
I want to get back.
You do it in their name, you do it for your grandmother.
At this point, it's for these guys now. You know, it started out, you know, I just don't like bullies, you know. And started out with me thinking about my grandmother, and now it's all about my men that are over there, and everybody who's over there. I mean, all the people I met, there's just such wonderful people. It's hard to fathom that anybody would come and attack this country and, you know, and be so rape, pillage, and destroy, you know. There's such an amazing type of people that I'll probably be there for the rest of my natural life after the war, rebuilding. They don't deserve us. They don't deserve it.
Yeah. You mentioned bullies. What about it to you? Is that something you want to stand up against? You as a person.
Well, when I was a kid, I got bullied, you know.
Would you say it's in your blood to kind of defend others?
100%, yeah. I think anybody who knows me would say that, you know, that's just James. That's what he does.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the lessons you've learned in Ukraine?
That's an easy answer. The unity, you know, the unity that they have, you know, it's, again, you know, American could take a good lesson from Ukrainians. You know, when I say 100% all for one and all for one, I mean, it reeks of compassion over there. It just reeks of, you know, community. And, you know, I just wish we had that in the United States right now. We'd be a much better country if we modeled ourselves after Ukrainians right now.
So what is your plan here? You're back here.
I'm here. I'm selling everything. I mean, I'm selling everything, my house, all my worldly possessions, get rid of everything, and I'm going back. And I'm going to go back. I'm going to fight the rest of the war. And then after that, I'm going to start a company. I'm going to rebuild. I have a construction management background. It's what I do. Build high-rise buildings. And, you know, I can spend probably 30 years in Mariupol just rebuilding that, and I probably wouldn't even put a dent in it. It's flattened. So.
Were you ever in Mariupol?
No. I never got there, because by the time I was there, that's when they were getting smashed. No one could get to them. But if it was up to me, I would have took my men and went in there. And but it was those poor souls over there, man. They gave them hell for a long time. They were holed up in that steel mill, and listen, I was chomping at the bit to go over there, but it would have been suicide.
Yeah. Do you feel like you've gone through all these journeys in your life? You grew up in Brooklyn, you're a veteran. There was always kind of a path for you to end up in a completely different part of the world, fighting a battle the United States is nothing, you know.
Well, I didn't see it coming, but I know who I am. And, you know, it's just, No, I know I had a path and I had a destiny, and and I thought I fulfilled it already. Just growing up super poor. My father was a heroin addict. My mother abandoned me when I was very young. So, I joined the military when I was 17. It kind of saved my life, and then and I became pretty successful for somebody who was dealt that type of hand. So I thought that was my, that was my ultimate, that hey, I got out of there and I made it. I didn't see this one coming, but this is a whole new stage of my life that, yeah, maybe everything that I've ever been through and has come to this. This is my destiny. But whether it was or not, it's definitely going to be my destiny from here on out. But yeah, that was probably something that that was meant to happen. I don't know.
My last question. What do you want people in the United States to know what's happening in Ukraine?
I just want them to know that people are getting slaughtered, and don't forget what's going on, and try to help as much as you can. I mean, even listen, if everybody who followed me just gave $1 to Ripley's Heroes, that's $400,000 that we can utilize to provide these soldiers and these civilians with what they need to survive over there. I mean, take it from me, a guy who's been on the ground, boots on the ground. This is crazy war. This is real war. This is World War II type stuff, and this is World War II type, reason to fight and help. America's been through a lot of stuff in the last 20 years, as everybody knows. But this is a battle that's worth fighting. This is a battle that needs to be fought. This is, these people need to be saved. This is a potential genocide. By the way, by their own real people. I mean, Ukraine and Russia used to be one. There's a lot of Ukrainians that have Russian family, and they try to tell them, hey, look, there's no Nazis here. Russia's just invading us, and their family disowns them. They don't even believe them. The propaganda machine is so strong over there that family members don't even believe people that they're just getting invaded and not, and it's not Nazis, and
Right.
So it's bananas, and this is God. I wish anybody could walk one day in my shoes over there and see what I went through, and see what I've seen. And I think everybody would be doing what I'm doing in some capacity or another. Whether not everybody can fight, but everybody would help in some way.
Thank you. Is there anything else you want to add?
Ripley's Heroes. Please, if anybody, go ripley'sheroes.com. It's it's a nonprofit organization. No one gets paid. It's all pro bono. The CFO is pro bono. The attorneys are pro bono. Lieutenant Colonel Rip Rawlings, pro bono. Me, pro bono. Nobody's getting paid for it. We're just trying to help these people, and we're doing a lot of big things, and it's getting bigger and bigger every day. So reach in your wallets and your pocketbooks and, just, please help Ripley's Heroes. And that's it.